What's up, guys? It's Dr. Shashi from the KL Sky Clinic, and
this is Dhanya from the KL Sky Clinic, also your resident life coach. We're here to talk about fasting today.
Yes, today's topic is fasting. Basically, I did a video a few months ago telling my experience of 72 hours fasting. Remember the one you were doing, and then I got into doing that as well.
Yeah.
And then I told them about intermittent and like 72 hours, what I felt, what I did, and all those. So, and then there was a lot more requests on our other videos to talk about fasting. And my last video was about insulin resistance. So it is just so apt that we talk about fasting today. Right? So the first thing is we are going to talk about the understanding the basics of fasting, because a lot of them have a lot of ideas asking me like, doctor, is it 14, 10, 16, 8, or what kind of fasting is good? And a lot of them who are not into fasting are thinking, I'm supposed to fast for 16 hours. How do I do it? So you have to understand that majority of that fasting is going to happen when you are sleeping. So that is included. The hours where you sleep is also counted as the time where you're fasting as well.
Yeah.
So so first of all, what is fasting?
Fasting in the most basic definition means to go without. So you can fast not just from food, you can fast from water, you can fast from negative thoughts, you can fast from alcohol, you can fast from gossiping, right? Many people can use that. So it basically, on the most fundamental level, is to go without the experience of something. But as we are going to speak about it today in the context of food primarily, and in some cases water as well. Okay, so you were speaking just now about the different kind of fasting, right? So the most basic one that we understand is food, but recently there have been like subcategories of fasting, as you were saying. We have intermittent fasting, and then we have water fasting, and then we have dry fasting. And then even within the water fasting, if you go up to 17 hours, they will call that like autophagy fasting, right? So your body starts the autophagy process. If you go up to 24 hours, that starts to build the stem cells, the intestinal stem cells. So
regeneration of
regeneration.
Yes, your intestinal cellular regeneration happens
24 hours, right? And then if you go to 36 hours, it's a different effect. If you go to 48 hours, I think it's your dopamine receptor sites start to, right? So if you're someone who's battling mood issues with depression and stuff like that, that will benefit you to go up to 48 hours. So basically all of this is just to say there are so many different types of fasting. And the question you need to ask yourself when you're thinking about fasting is, what am I going for? What is it that I'm hoping to accomplish here, right? Is it weight loss? Is it hormone stabilization, right? Is it to work on my mood? Is it just so that I have a spiritual experience? What are you doing fasting for? I think to get clear about that is really important.
And also you need to understand, why fast? Why doesn't it happen when I'm eating? What is so great about fasting that all these things like regeneration, your stem cells, and all autophagy, and all this happens when you are fasting? It's because, see, your digestive tract starts here and adds at your anus. So it's along your body. So if you see the tract, it's very long. And putting it into simple terms, it's basically going to take a lot of energy and effort in terms of your body cellular level to break down, digest, absorb, and throw this waste product out of your body. So it's something which requires a lot of energy, and most of your energy in your body is going to be focused into breaking down and absorbing this food and throwing away the toxins. So when you're giving this tract a break, so other things happen. So you give your body the energy which is in you, the fats which are in you, and all those are going to break down in terms of correcting your immune system, correcting, breaking down all this bad cells, removing all. It's basically like when you are someone who is if you're a computer person, it's like basically like defragmenting your body. So you're defragmenting it, you're collecting all these waste products, and then you're like throwing away all the bad ones, and then like you are regenerating new cells and all that. So it happens when you stop eating, because of the energy taken to digest, break down, and absorb food as well. So when you don't have that, don't worry, you won't. I mean, for some people, when I posted my blood sugar levels at 3.2, they were like, oh, they went alarm. But trust me, at that point, my body is not dependent on sugar to provide energy. It is using my fats. And I have a lot of it.
Yeah, I think understanding is so important. The education part is so important. You have to understand what is happening in your body so you don't panic. There's no reason to panic. Your body actually has an intelligence that is so unbelievable. It knows what to do if you can get your mind out of the way. Or at least direct your mind in the right way by giving it the right amount of information. So you're talking about autophagy just now and apoptosis. Like, is it worth explaining what that is? Or do you think people know?
Autophagy is basically where your body starts collecting all these cells which have been causing your body a lot of strain.
Like senescent
To put it
cells.
simply, nasty cells. I'm putting it in simple terms, where they are going to cause inflammation, a lot of buildup of toxins and all those. So they're going to be surrounded. Apoptosis is when it...
Yeah, the whole cell, it's programmed cell death.
That's
It
just
apoptosis.
pops. Apoptosis. It just pops, it goes off, and then it's basically that whole system is rendered not useful to you, your body. So it's removed. So that's where apoptosis. I'm putting it in a very simple term, lah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like house cleaning. I think the first one, autophagy,
Yes.
is like inner cell house cleaning. Okay, so like all this damage, like
collected.
mitochondrial cells,
Yes.
senescent cells, protein buildup, it'll just clean everything. But the second one, it's where the whole cell is gone.
Yes.
But this is amazing, by the way. Don't freak out, right? Because if this goes away, the body has the intelligence to bring the renewed cell, which is usually a stem cell, right? So
Yes.
what's the benefit of like a stem cell?
So stem cells is you have growth factors released from. So your body has this ability to regenerate on a daily basis. But the thing is, as you age, the ability to produce these growth factors, these proteins, which regenerate from your lungs to your heart to your skin to everything, the ability diminishes as you age. Also, it has to do with oxidative stress, which is a byproduct. Oxidative stress is basically when a byproduct of metabolism, your free radicals and all those. So that's oxidative stress. As oxidative stress increases, your ability to regenerate reduces. So when you are doing fasting, this is the other thing. Your oxidative stress reduces. Your free radicals are going to be removed more easily. When I said apoptosis and all those, it's basically that. And your telomeres, the end of your DNAs, are not going to be shortened faster. That means your aging also slows down.
That's
right?
literally the factor that determines whether
You age or not.
anti-age.
Yeah, I mean how fast you age, not age or not. How fast you age.
Unfortunately, we all have to age.
So telomerase kinda increases, right? So that is your benefits. And to make it simple to end this part, I'm going to explain the types of fasting normally people do. Like what you said is water fasting, where you only drink water when you're fasting, like the name says. Dry fasting is like what people do during Ramadan, where you do not take water, nothing. You just don't eat for that certain period of time. And other fastings are 24 hours fastings, 48 hours fastings, and 72 hours fastings are normally done with water.
Yeah. Those are, it seems to be right now, there's not enough studies to show if you do dry fasting beyond 12 to 24 hours, there is not enough studies to support that you can do it safely. So that's the only caution.
Safety.
Yeah, you have to be, again, your awareness is one thing, but if you are going to do fasting that is above what we call a longer fast, like above 24 hours, you should get a doctor, a practitioner to guide you through the process, because there's a lot of things that we're looking for in terms of your electrolytes and all that stuff. So you really want to make sure you have somebody walk you through the process for the longer fast. So yeah, that's the only caution with dry fasting. But apparently you feel, I've done dry fasting as well I went up to 48 hours. Yeah. And I really felt like I was checking my ketones and stuff like that. It is much more accelerated than when you're doing just the water fast. But again, you don't know what sort of damage you're doing in terms of like your kidneys and, because the metabolic process or how the cells are renewing is different. With water fast, they're eliminating through the kidneys and stuff. But with the dry fast, apparently it's thermal. So the cells inside, it's the heat that's causing that toxin to actually be removed. So it's a very different pathway.
It's a different process when you're dry fasting.
Yeah, so just be really well versed. If you're not sure, start with the most basic, which is intermittent fasting.
14-10, 14-10. 14-10 for starters.
Yeah, so ease yourself. Actually, that's a good segue into like what we're talking about. Like intermittent fasting is probably the safest way that you can start into your fasting journey. If you're a newbie, you're curious about fasting, you haven't really done it before, then intermittent fasting is your way. Start at even 12 hours, the most basic, right? 12 hours.
And trust me, out of the 12 hours, 8 hours you're going to be sleeping. So it's basically 4 hours. So when you do
Mind
that,
hack.
yeah. So I would say 14, gradually increase to 16, and then 18, and then 20, and then 24. Goes slowly. For me to get into 24 hours of fasting, took me 6 months. From the time when I started 16, I started off with 16.8, so by the time I got to 24 hours, it was 6 months, because I wanted to challenge and see how I can do.
See, even a doctor is doing it systematically. Don't throw yourself in the
Start
deep
slow.
end. Start slow.
Yes, kindergarten first, then only university later.
Yeah, and you know, the thing with we're going to get into how it's different for women in fasting, and I want to say, based on the studies that I've seen, at least, women who've had breast cancer, when they studied them, when they've gone on intermittent fasting between 13 to 15 hours. So we're not even talking about the 16.8 here, we're just talking about 13 to 15 hours. You are already getting massive benefits, and in fact they have a 70% less likelihood of regressing into their breast cancer. Yeah, so the numbers are astounding. So you don't have to push yourself in the same way that men do, because our bodies are completely different.
Yes.
Right? So with women, you are cyclical. You have a hormonal cycle that is very different from men. We have the same kind of sex hormones, but it's used in completely different ways, right?
Yeah, we don't have that dip and rise of testosterone. We are always constantly having that, as compared to women who have a dip and rise of few hormones, in fact. Progesterone, estrogen, FSH, LH, everything. So for men, it's always constant. For women, it's up and down, depending on the time period of your cycle. And another thing before we go ahead. How it works for women is because estrogen increases the sensitivity of sugar absorption in your intestine. So during the time of your peak estrogen levels, which is around day 10 to around day 18, I mean, the peak is being day 10 and then like gradually coming down after that. I think those are the times when you probably could do very good fasting, because your sugar sensitivity level increases and your body is going to break down the fat and use that as energy as well. So
I can see the relevance. I think that there are certain periods where, from what I know, they're like, okay, so let's just say we have a 4-week cycle. We're going to speak from a
28-day
cycle,
cycle,
28
yeah.
days. Yeah,
Okay.
that will help. Because some cycles are literally like 2 months long, depending on where you are, and then some are like, you know, even shorter. So let's speak from a 28-day cycle, right? So a healthy woman who should be fertile under 40, okay? So if you're trying to get pregnant, and even if you're not trying to get pregnant, if you want to be fertile and healthy, right, this is the cycle we're going to speak of. Your first 21 days, right, from the time you are bleeding, that's what we're counting as the first day. So from the time that you bleed till the first 21 days, here is where you can fast more extremely if you want to, with the exception of when you're ovulating. When you're ovulating between day 12 and 14 or 11 to 15, depending on again how long your cycle is, that is when you want to make sure there's a little bit of glucose going in and you're actually having progesterone rich foods, hormone building foods, right?
building up towards progesterone at day 21.
That's right. So
Yeah.
21 is the next gap. So they can take a small break between there, right? So day 1 to, let's say, about day 12, you can go pretty hardcore. You can do your longer fast, your 24 hours, your 48 water fast. Just go for it if you want. But when your ovulation period comes, you have to make sure that your body's
You're
getting
eating.
what it needs. Yeah.
So
you
that's
need
why
the
it
glucose.
increases. That's
I
why
think
your
that's so.
estrogen is going to be more helpful. So you're not supposed to be fasting at that time. So you're supposed to be eating at that time,
That's
because
right.
it increases
it's
the
being used for it.
Yes. So estrogen actually increases your stomach's ability to absorb glucose at that time. So now that's
the correlation.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
right. So you see, it's so brilliant. See, I love all these different perspectives. It's so important you understand this as well. You need to give your body what it needs to ovulate healthily. Then you can go back again, but not so extreme this time, because you're already building towards day 21, right? So then you can do a little bit of like your intermittent fasting, whatever it is, and then again, from 21 to 28, you got to do that progesterone-rich hormone-building foods again.
Okay.
You cannot fast during this time, especially. You really should not. If you want to fast, minimum maybe the 15-hour intermittent fasting,
what do you do in terms of eating progesterone-rich food? And maybe I could use this for, people will be very, very it will be helpful for them if you could tell them what are examples of progesterone boosting foods are. Yeah.
So what you're looking for in terms of the healthy ones, because when I say eat glucose, I don't mean go and have sugar. Right? I mean have foods that will metabolize and give you glucose, but healthy. So this is your rice, your beans, right? Your squash, pumpkin. For those of you who would have maybe grass-fed beef, for those of you who don't worry, there's still many other options. You want to have, what else? Your pulses. So for people who are on keto, you would normally not have fruits, tropical fruit, right? Because they will take you out of ketosis. But during this time, you are not meant to be in ketosis. Not for women. No. So have citrus fruits, especially dehydrated apricots. That's supposed to be very high, very rich in progesterone.
Okay.
Well, at least will induce progesterone.
Dehydrated fruits generally, or apricots?
They say you can have the range of dehydrated fruits, but apricot in particular has
the highest.
Yeah.
Okay. So no watermelon sugar.
Watermelon sugar high. Watermelon sugar high.
Can lie. Exactly. So you want to play around with it, but any day watermelon sugar is going to be better than you having ice cream or whatever that is. So give your body what it needs, but give it the most healthy form.
The natural form.
Natural.
Like simple as, does it grow on a tree? Have it.
Don't complicate it for your body.
Yeah.
So those are the general rules, right? So
eat natural, basically. That's it.
Yeah, so that's it for, I think, women. If you are above, like if you're menopausal, perimenopausal, premenopausal, I'm rapping already. So make sure you see a doctor for that as well, because it's slightly different. Depending on your cycle, they will give you slightly different.
It can be complicated at those times because we're not sure what's going to happen when, and you are just imbalanced. You're probably having like a 20-day or an 18-day cycle, because you're edging towards menopause, so things might be different at that time.
Yeah, I think that the concept that you guys really want to play around with is a new term that's come out, which is called metabolic flexibility. That's what you want. You don't want to be rigid in the way that your body processes either fat or glucose. You want to be able to have that versatility where when you need to process glucose, you can, and then back again, and you're doing this dance,
burn your fat.
Yeah, that is the ideal state.
So switch from your energy sources from sugar or fat. That's the flexibility you're talking about.
That's the flexibility, and that is the same. It's going to give you the resilience in terms of your immune system as well, because that's directly related to your gut microbiome. With your gut microbiome, as many species of food that you're having, the better for you. And the 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So that's an immediate correlation already. When you give your versatility to the food and the lifestyle that you have, that shows up in your immune system, and then it circles around to COVID lah. So everything ends with COVID these days. Another COVID video.
So I think that was informative and fantastic for women out there who are looking into fasting according to your stage of your menstrual cycle. That was point on. So I think next we're going to be bringing in someone who is an expert in fasting, right?
A human guinea pig.